advantage on board and on life. And Dustin is all about trying to make sure that life totals don't matter at all.
Nice. Again, for any new players in chat, Infect is a different different way to win the game than normal damage. If a player gets 10 Infect counters, they lose, in opposed to the normal 20 damage. So, did it look like Mike? Yeah, Mike Mulligan down to 6, right? Looked like.
Yeah, he mulliganed to 6.
What's Anthony playing tonight? In chat, we got Sir Tail. We were talking about one of our local guys at Anthony that we were talking about is our normal burn player. I don't know what he's playing tonight. He's always playing something spicy when he's here.
I'm pretty sure he's on Dredge. He was playtesting Dredge before we started tonight.
Yeah, Anthony's probably getting ready for some of the big events that are coming up. Like I said, we have regionals coming up in a couple weeks, and then the week after regionals is a Milwaukee GP, which we don't often get GPs that close to Chicago, so pretty sweet. Some of these guys in here probably testing some of their decks out for what they're going to play in those big events. What was that Clemens? That's the Shriekcorn, right? Yeah. So what does the Shriekcorn do?
It enters play with 3 counters, and then you can tap it and remove 1 counter to mill target player 2 cards.
Cool. So it's a quick little way for him to be able to start putting cards in his own graveyard, right?
It's supposed to start getting the ball rolling for Dredge. 6 guaranteed cards for 2 mana or for 1 mana is like definitely where you want to be.
Awesome. And then for Dustin's side here, he got 1 mana Infect creature on board, which is obviously exactly what he wanted to do, right?
Yeah. Glistener Elf is like the best card for Infect. Okay. When you start the game with turn 1 Glistener Elf, it does a lot. And he's gonna Spell Pierce.
Oh,
Faithless Looting there.
Yeah, I heard Mike on our ears here that we can hear them in there. He said spicy. So is Spell Pierce not something that's normally played main board for Infect?
They've been transitioning to 1.
Okay.
In the main board recently, but I think the spicy thing is that he actually used it there. There's no dredgers in the graveyard, so Faithless Looting is relatively unassuming. But if there's no dredgers in the graveyard, they have to be somewhere.
Yeah.
And so Michael probably has them in his hand.
Yeah. And then having the dredge cards in his graveyard then is going to let him do what?
That's going to let him draw cards and replace the draw by milling 5 more cards, so just 3 more cards.
Speed up his ability to put cards into his graveyard as well?
Yes, which is absolutely huge when you're trying to get back cards like Creeping Chill, and you have cards like Narcomoeba that want to be put directly from the graveyard into your or from the library into your graveyard.
All right, we see Dustin here trying to go off. There it is. Casted his. See how fast that was against. Like you said, it's definitely tough for Dredge to stop that. So yeah, so what he did, guys, he swung in and then casted 2 pump spells that pumped up his creature to be a 6/6. It looked like.
I believe that was 8/8.
An 8/8. Okay.
He already had 2 Infect going into the turn, so that was enough to finish him off. Oh, wow.
Okay, so let's go over these sideboards here. I'm going to list off, and then Jacob's going to go over what he thinks we should be. So, Infect, Dustin has Pulse of Marasa, 2 Shaper Sanctuaries, 3 Nature's Claims, 3 Invisible Stalkers, 1 Viridian Corruptor, 1 Wild Defiance, 1 Dispel, 2 Ravenous Trap, and 1 Spell Pierce.
If I'm Dustin here, I'm definitely bringing in the extra Spell Pierce. And those Ravenous Traps are big game here.
Oh, yeah. We talked about those earlier. Do you want to just mention what they are again?
Ravenous Trap is going to allow Dustin, on turns where Michael puts 5 cards into a graveyard, to exile everything in Michael's graveyard.
Okay.
And that's just going to destroy everything Dredge is trying to do here.
Okay, and then on Mike's side here, the Dredge, he's got 3 Leyline of the Void, 3 Lightning Axe, 2 Thoughtseize, 1 Dark Blast, 4 Nature's Claims, and 2 Ancient Grudges. What do you think about that?
Dark Blast is like the marquee card Dredge is bringing in this matchup.
Okay.
It is designed to blow up every single creature that that Infect plays.
Okay.
Infect can obviously protect it, but Dark Blast's ability to come back every turn by dredging it and putting it back into your hand means Dustin's eventually going to run out of ways to protect it.
Okay.
Other cards I like here are Lightning Axe. Very similar effect, but it's a lot harder to protect a creature from 5 damage than -1/-1.
Okay. See if we can get one of our tech guys here, Dan. If Dan wants to try and also look into maybe getting a backup match, because if these ones go quick, this game 1 was only 3 minutes long, so
yeah,
we might be seeing a fast game 2 here as well.
And this is a matchup that's really hard for Dredge to win. So if Dustin just takes this game, it's probably going to be another 5-6 minute game.
Yeah. Yeah, both these decks obviously either winning quick or losing quick, it seems like, in this matchup. What's your opinion on Infect and Modern? So my experience is that Infect was huge about a year and a half ago, was it?
Yeah, Infect was huge right before the Gitaxian probe ban, and then it came back again about a year and a half ago. And recently, it's been sitting at the top of the Tier 1 tables, and it beats up really hard on these graveyard decks.
Okay. Yeah, I think notably, again, is that I think we mentioned this last week, is that any kind of like creature-based win condition with small converted mana costs is going to have a lot of hate now, just because Humans is obviously such one of the top-level decks that a lot of the interactive decks now just have so many ways to deal with little creatures as well.
Yeah, it's very hard to be playing a little creature deck and intending to get there, but Infect is one of the few decks that can kind of try to tough it out, because you do get to play Blossoming Defense and Vines of the Vastwood, these cards that have built-in protection, but also double as pump spells.
Yeah, let's see if we can get Vines of the Vastwood brought up. Or actually, yeah, Vines.
That is a, I believe, Rise of the Eldrazi, or...
got it on screen here, too.
Yeah, so it's a single green instant. Target creature can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control this turn. Notably, does not actually give hexproof. If you target, say, your opponent's creature, they can't target their creature.
Oh, nice.
And then if you pay the kicker cost, the creature you target also gets +4/+4 until end of turn.
Sweet. Yeah, so important for pumping and important for defending against removal. Okay, also Lillian Bender in the chat says, deciding between Ponza and Mono White Martyr Proc for my second deck. Yeah, I think that best thing to always do, just proxy up your decks before you decide to buy them. Just know if you like it or not. There's been a number of times where I've decided I thought I was going to build a deck, put in the money, maybe like play it a few Friday Night Magics and realize I didn't really like it that much. So I always try and recommend to people to maybe proxy out your deck, solitaire it a few times, maybe find a friend you could play it against, and see if it's the style you like, and if it's gonna be type of Magic you like to play. All right, so Mike was on the play here. It looks like he's able to get his graveyard started. Has an Archimedes on board.
This game already looks pretty interesting. Dustin is only on 1 land here, and he's got what appears to be 3 Blossoming Defense in his hand.
Okay.
And a I don't remember the name of it. The unblockable.
Yeah, a
Blighted Agent. Yes. Yep. And then he also has Ravenous Trap.
Yeah. Evil Juggernaut. The commentator tonight is I'm Lawrence from last week, Lawrence Doria, and then this week we have a new commentator with me. This is Jacob. What's your last name, Jacob?
Havard. Jacob Havard.
Yeah, Jacob plays up here. He actually played last week in our stream. He was the first round. He was playing Ponza last week. All right, guys, remember this card here. This is Conflagrate. Some people say Conflagrate. What does this card do, Jacob?
It's going to allow him to pay red, and discard his whole hand to basically Fireball, original Fireball.
Sweet. So he took care of that infect creature pretty quick then as well,
yep.
Right?
And was able to deal some more damage to Dustin on the way.
Yep. And also, Evil Juggernaut, welcome back, man. Thanks you guys that came back this week to watch from last week. Definitely excited to have our second week of stream going. Come on, be nice in chat. Tom did a great job last week. But yeah, Jacob's doing great also. So here's Ravenous Trap brought up on board. that was actually what Dustin was able to use. That's sweet. He took care of the graveyard really when he needed it right there. But now, is that how behind is Mike? Not at all. It doesn't look like, right? Or does it look like?
So he's pretty clearly doing well on board.
Okay.
Dustin needed to have some more plays to leverage the fact that he just got rid of all of Michael's resources. Okay. Michael nuked his hand, got rid of everything to play Conflagrate, and then exiled everything from Michael's graveyard. So Michael was completely out of resources, and Dustin just has not been able to leverage it. He has no creatures in play to do anything. Looks like he's coming close to discarding to hand size. If he had hit a land to cast the Blighted Agent that's sitting in his hand, this game is like very different.
Yeah, and then so the only bad thing here is that Mike we know has a Dark Blast in hand, right? So if he casts the Blighted Agent, Mike's just going to take it out right away.
Yeah.
Also, a quick trick about this Dark Blast, guys, is that he can cast it if for some reason that he's facing a creature that's a 2/2. He can cast it in his upkeep before his draw step, and then actually dredge it to cast it again. So he doesn't have a problem taking out creatures that are 2/2s. By the way,
his hand is Michael's hand is very good right now. He has Dark Blast and a Lightning Axe.
Okay.
The two removal spells that this deck plays.
Yeah.
Boards into.
So now, if you're Dustin, are you casting this Blighted Agent right away? Or are you trying to just sit there and see if you're going to...
He actually doesn't have a blue source right now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
But I also don't think we're going to see him try to animate Inkmoth Nexus until he finds another land. I think he knows that he needs to do something. Ooh.
Evil Juggernaut says needs double black.
Yeah, to play that.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
line.
Okay,
of,
okay, yeah. Thank you, Evil Juggernaut. Thank you for pointing that out. You're correct. All right, so going into a game 3, this is actually a pretty cool little matchup.
Yeah, this is a very quick matchup. It's a lot of haymakers going back and forth.
Yeah.
I think Infect loses a lot of the times that they keep a one creature hand and don't find another one.
Yeah.
It's very hard to come back when you're sitting there with 6 pump spells in hand and 1 land on the board doing nothing. And you may have wiped out all of your opponent's resources, but they're still hitting you for 4 every turn. So
yeah. I want to see if Andrew could bring up Gitaxian Probe on the screen, because Jacob mentioned a couple minutes ago here that when Infect was really strong about 1.5 to 2 years ago, that was one of the key cards in the deck. Jacob, do you know exactly what they replaced in the deck with this?
So Gitaxian Probe has since been banned, so obviously they had to find place to fit it in.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of cards that kind of were pulling for different attention. I think at one point they were playing Wild Defiance in the main board, this card that they've always had as like a 1-of in the sideboard.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're on like 1 Spell Pierce in the main. Some versions are playing multiple Distortion Strikes in the main. Some versions are on Spell Skite in the main.
Oh, yeah, so guys, this is it up here on your screen now. Thank you, Andrew, for bringing that up. This is one of the cards that got banned out of Modern, and that was a primary card in Infect. And so if you notice, the mana symbol on this Gitaxian Probe is Phyrexian mana. So this mana could actually be paid for 2 life. Essentially, it's a free casting spell. So early on in turn 1, an Infect player can cast this without having to use any mana, and they could then look at what their opponent has in hand and decide how they want to then when they want to attack and try and go off, right?
Yeah, it was very huge to be able to go, okay, I know what his removal spells are. He can't cast one until turn 3. Now I'll play my guy, and then I'll leave up protection for it on turn 3 when he can actually do something about it.
Yeah, scary card, awesome card too. I mean, basically makes your deck a 56 card deck as opposed to a 60 card deck.
Yeah, which just does wonders for consistency.
So Jacob sounds good, and I know he has the knowledge. Yeah, Jacob's doing great. Hello, just turn this on. Does this show a lot of gameplay? Early by Magic Fix. Big Daddy Adam, yes. We are playing Modern here tonight, and every Sunday night now. This is our 2nd week, and we're trying to show you guys pretty diverse matchups as much as we can. We had humans on earlier. We had hardened scales, and now we're getting to see some dredge and infect. And then it's in the sideboard now. Any look at hand cards very advantage boosting. So it's up to the players if they want to kind of like show us. We're seeing Dustin right now kind of like let us see his hand, and now Mike as well. Our camera angle hits it pretty decent, and I think these guys are kind of playing along, letting us see also. But yeah, I mean we're not forcing them to have to show us what they got. It's not something that we didn't think that was something that was important. But
this is a very interesting start. Dustin, I saw his hand is 4 lands, Glistener Elf, and Ravenous Trap.
Okay.
Those are the key cards in the matchup. The only thing he's missing is pump spells to help him put on pressure.
So it looks like that's pretty good hand for him then, huh?
Yeah.
And being able to be on the play, getting that creature out, it's going to put pressure on Mike right away.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Faithless Looting out of Mike. Gets to draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards. This is going to let him discard either creatures that he wants to later recur back from the graveyard, or he's going to be able to put in there some dredge cards that will let him dredge the next turn, and it looks like he did both. So he did put a creature in there, Prized Amalgam, that later on he could easily bring back. He also put in a Stinkweed Imp that has the dredge mechanic. So next turn, he's setting up for a good turn too. Looks like we got both players with really good hands here.
That was a big play. Dustin was able to Ravenous Trap. Michael set up his graveyard to have exactly Faithless Looting, Prized Amalgam, and 1 Dredger, and he has none of it now.
Okay, yeah, there we go. I was in my midst of talking there. I missed it, but yeah, great. Yeah, Ravenous Trap. Obviously, we're getting to see its strength here. Maybe that's why some of the pros there were saying how this card needs to start seeing some play against Dredge.
I see Michael on an interesting card in his hand. He's got Steam Vents. A lot of Dredge players, it's kind of been an argument I've seen going around online, is do you play a Steam Vents to try to be able to cast Prized Amalgam and Narcomoeba if they end up in your hand?
Yep.
Or do you just say, screw it, I don't care about that. That's irrelevant to me.
Yeah, like if your deck's not functioning properly, then you're just kind of going to lose anyways, maybe?
Yeah.
Also, guys, feel free to keep asking us questions in chat. I like to let you guys know this as much as possible because that is part of the way we get to have fun on this stream, be able to, like, in some of the downtime, answer your guys' questions. Whatever you guys want to ask, feel free. Let's get it going.
Infect still running.
Become immense.
Yes. Currently, versions are normally on, like, 3-ish, and then a lot of times they'll cut one in sideboarding.
All right, so with that attack from Dustin and a pump spell, we have Mike at 7 infect, guys. So Mike's facing possible lethal next turn from Dustin. Lethal infect possible next turn here.
Yeah, he can deal. It looks like 2, assuming no pump spells.
Yeah,
but if he finds a pump spell, things change quickly.
Lillian Bender, this is the 3rd round. We do 4 rounds on Sunday. The last round always, or actually this is the 2nd. Oh, no, yeah, this is the 3rd round. The last round we always usually do the 2 top decks of the night. But since this one's going so quick, we're probably going to do a backup match after this one for this round.
Which means we might be able to see one of those lower tier decks like you're asking about.
I'm going to double check with our tech guys to see if they had a backup match ready.
Trying to find one. Let's see. Blighted Agent. All right. Blighted Agent is going to allow Dustin to actually be able to get around all the creatures that Michael's trying to set up on this board. It looks like Michael needs some more setup to be able to do anything really relevant here.
So does he have any way to interact with any pump spells as well? Just only removal or damage, right?
It's only the Lightning Axes and Dark Blasts. I think, let me try and count this correctly, unless...
A Conflagrate would be good, right?
Yeah, Conflagrate would be really good right now. If Michael is unable to get a creature into play or find a Conflagrate, Dustin has lethal on board right now. Narcomoeba's huge, and it's going to trigger 2 Prized Amalgams here. So
now, is he gonna have still any way to block that Blighted Agent though?
he's not gonna be able to block Blighted Agent, but Blighted Agent isn't gonna be able to do the job all by himself. Michael only at 7 infect. Dustin has 1 Exalted on board and an empty hand.
So so Dustin's basically looking to try and draw into a pump spell, right?
He's trying to draw into a pump spell. I think that's really the out he's looking for right now.
Mm-hmm. And also notable is that Narcomoeba is going to be able to block the Inkmoth Nexus as well, correct?
Yeah, I think if not for that Narcomoeba, Dustin would be able to attack with all 3 of his infect creatures, and Michael would have no blockers.
Well, wouldn't he be able to? Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, because the
Blood Gas.
Yeah, Blood Gas
block.
can't block. Yeah, okay. Here we go. Let's see what Dustin's got here. So minimally, if Dustin swings out, he's minimally going to be able to do 2 infect here, right?
Yeah. If he decides he doesn't have a pump spell, he can just swing with Blighted Agent, just get the Exalted trigger, and just go for 2 there, and that can't be blocked at all, no matter what.
Okay.
And if he finds a pump spell, he just wins the game.
All right.
Yeah, just 2 random ones is fine, guys.
Because the chat's also asking for like jank decks anyways. So in chat, anything spicy in the field? We're asking right now. We're trying to get. I was just letting them know that you guys are willing to watch any of the lower tier decks if we can replace for this round.
I heard them whispering, trying to figure out what they could get. Someone said Charbelcher, which is pretty interesting to see in Modern.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
Charbelcher, normally a Legacy Vintage combo deck, not a...
yeah.
Ooh.
There it is.
Yeah.
There's the Become Ments you guys were asking about.
Yeah. He needed a pump spell, and he got the largest pump spell on the planet.
Yeah. If the sound is cutting in and out, Evil Juggernaut, let us know, man. Sometimes we go like this. Sometimes we do that to try and talk to our tech guys. So maybe sometimes you're not hearing us, but for the most part, I think that our sound is pretty good. All right, well, hopefully they're getting somebody else to go in there.
We still have it's at 25 minutes left in the round. That's a lot of time to fill without any